Well, how do I follow up that introduction? Welcome into the show tonight, Four Bros Radio Show. As I was told before the show, it's Four Bros and a Cousin tonight. The cousin's here. And don't forget, C2C programming is brought to you by our proud sponsors. They'll scroll across the bottom. They'll don't forget to use the promo codes when you do a checkout, 10 to 15 to 20% off, depending on where you're going. Let's go around and do introductions tonight. Of course, J-Mac. And we're going to go to someone who hasn't been on in a while. He's welcome. He's joining us tonight. Big B, what's going on, brother?
Doing good. Yeah, I missed the show, but new hours at work. And, the first couple of weeks have just been very draining on my brain. So I come home and pull a mess around and fall asleep. And then I'll wake up and it'll be an hour after the show. And but no, I'm up, ready to do the show. Can't wait to hear what we got to talk about.
That's right. It's got competition for that Sleep All Day championship belt now, it sounds like.
Sure does. And congrats on that, by the way, Big B. I know that was a promotion for you, and that's always great. We always want to celebrate each other's accomplishments here on the show.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Good work, man. Chris, what's going on, man?
Not much. Just working and all that, and
any updates on the lady situation, Chris? We got to get a weekly update.
No update. So.
Ladies, what are you doing?
Missing a good one up there, and then we're gonna go down to mess around.
Or down there.
Mess around. I'm gonna ask you. It started raining yesterday, about 11 o'clock or so, I would say, and here it didn't quit until like 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it was like 24 hours of straight rain over that. Now, the meteorologist here where I live basically said it's going to rain Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the way from now until May. And he's pretty spot on with that because that's about how it's going to be. So, yeah, raining down there in your neck of the woods too.
It didn't rain until just right before I started getting on the show, kicking it. It was raining pretty good. It stopped now. It's not raining now. It might be sprinkling. I don't know. I'm in the truck. But let me see.
Somebody go get a canoe.
It's sprinkling.
We got the weather report. All right.
Yeah, I got the weather report. And then we're joined tonight by the cousin of the show, but a very, very talented man. We appreciate all his accomplishments. Also, we want to make sure that we're all in those. He got invited back, if I'm correct, to be the Angels PA announcer next year, or their emergency PA announcer. I don't want to mess that up. Emergency
the
PA
call to the
announcer.
bullpen.
Make a call to the bullpen, and of course, we want to celebrate his accomplishments. Also, the one, the only, Callan McClurg.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for bringing the cousin back on to Four Bros tonight. But again, hey, I've always loved being able to help you guys out any way, shape, form, or size on any program here. And I mean, you guys are all geeked up about football, but hey, preseason hockey's underway, and we got a pretty big game coming to San Diego on Friday.
There you go.
And who's going to be calling the action, Callan?
Yeah, I have Brandon kind of hinted at it, but yes, I can check the first NHL game off the list now on Friday when first time in 30 years, the Anaheim Ducks are coming to San Diego to play the Los Angeles Kings on Friday. Preseason game number 4 on the season for the organization, and really big deal down here. The goal or the Anaheim Ducks had tried for a very long time to get their top minor league affiliate closer to the city of Anaheim, and San Diego's had a very, very, very rich hockey history dating back to World War II and throughout the 60s. Willie O'Ree, of course, played here, and to be able to, see 2 really well-run, well-respected Southern California hockey teams come to our city and play, obviously a preseason game, though. But, they've had a very nice media blitz down here on Monday, down here in San Diego. And, man, just Can't wait. It's really hard to put into words. It'll be really hard to do that on Friday when the time rolls around, though. But either way, though, great to be here, though, and helping you guys out.
All right, and of course you can catch Callan's show here on Coast to Coast Entertainment. He does the show on Thursdays here, Press Row. So don't forget to check that out on Thursdays. Kind of does the let's say non-typical headlines for sports, kind of the back office, behind the scenes kind of stuff that you don't normally hear about. And it's a great show. I was thoroughly entertained watching. So great job on that. Catch that on Thursdays.
Thanks very much.
You know, with that said, I mean, we had a great weekend of football. I was just going to say NFL on Sunday, but Saturday was great for college also.
Unless you're Minnesota fans.
Yeah, unless you're a Minnesota fan. I know. We always got to remember that with Big B, Minnesota fans.
And San Diego, for that matter, sadly, whenever the Four Bros cousin pops up on here.
Yeah. But I'll say this. Chris, the Bacon effect happened again on Saturday.
I had confidence in Colorado.
He put in the group chat before the game, I think Colorado can beat Oregon. And I kind of was watching, and then I look at the score, and it's 35-0. And halftime, Oregon had 279 yards of offense, and Colorado had 28. At halftime, Colorado had negative 22 rushing yards, not negative 2, negative 22 rushing yards at halftime. Deion Sanders, Prime looked like a defeated man on Saturday. I don't know if you guys noticed that on the sidelines, but he definitely looked like, man, we came in here and we just got our asses beat. Like they beat the brakes off of us. And honestly, Oregon, if you heard Dan Lanning before the game, the great pregame speech that he had, I don't know how many of you heard that, but if you didn't hear it, you should go watch it.
They're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins, is what he basically said in a nutshell.
Yes,
exactly. Played on the field, not in Hollywood.
Being played on the field, not in Hollywood. That was another part of his speech, and they went out and proved that.
But I think more importantly, J-Mac, I don't want to interrupt, but I think more importantly in this case with Dan Lanning's comments, they came out at the right time. They didn't come out like a couple days beforehand in the media where it became a big firestorm, and that gave Colorado more bulletin board or whiteboard material. He said it plain and simple right in the locker room before the game even started. So I think that was probably good on him to not maybe make it get what it was with Coach Norvell of CSU the following week or the week prior with his comments, leading up to the game. This actually happened right before the Ducks took the field.
Absolutely, 100%. And definitely proved that Oregon is legit this year. And it's hard for me to admit that. I'm not a huge Oregon fan, but being close to where they are, I can watch and I can tell you that the Pac-12, and it's kind of a shame the Pac-12 isn't going to be around next year. This is like the best season so far into the Pac-12. They have the 7, 8, 9, and 10 teams in America. So 7 through 10 is all Pac-12. Kind of crazy that they won't be the Pac-12 after this year. And then we had the NFL action on Sunday. And I just want to shout out someone who told me that after week 2, hands down, without discussion, not even close, that the Dallas Cowboys were the best team in the NFL.
Yeah,
and that was a crispy.
And I commented and said, okay, but it's week 2. I wouldn't read too much into that yet. They have beat a Giants team, a horrible Giants team that should be 0-3. They beat a horrible Giants team, and they beat Zach Wilson-led Jets team that only scored a touchdown because he threw a screen pass and the guy broke it for a touchdown. So then they go into Arizona yesterday, lay an egg. And the funny thing is, I haven't heard a single word from that person since before that game.
Shocking.
Would that be the same guy that said that Minnesota Vikings are going to be a better team than 13-4 this year?
Yeah, Chris, would that be the same guy?
God.
I don't like it.
I tell you, some people's comments, I tell you.
Yeah, it would be the same guy, and it's funny. And I did go back and comment because I couldn't keep it to myself. I tried, but everyone knows me, and I just went back and commented, and I said, "So is this the Cowboys team, the best team in football that just lost to Josh Dobbs led Arizona Cardinals?" Just wondering if that's still the best team in football. I haven't heard nothing, and then we had the craziness in the Miami and Denver game.
Oh my God!
So I know that San Diego is hurting for sports teams, in Minnesota, everyone in Minnesota hurts. But if you were a Colorado sports fan this weekend, I don't even know.
I didn't even put two to two together there, Jay. Like, that's good.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't even think you showed up for work today because it was a bad weekend all around in Colorado.
I mean, it may have been a bad weekend, but then again, you could go watch, the Rockies play the Dodgers at Coors Field. You could go watch the Avalanche play Minnesota for the preseason. You could still be basking in the glory of the Nuggets winning the NBA championship. Yeah, sure. I mean, at least you could do that, unlike the Twin Cities in San Diego, California.
That's true. That's a good point, Callan. You could. But from this weekend, I mean,
what was the combined score of those two games, by the way?
Well, if you combine the two scores in those games, it would have been 112-26.
Which outcome surprised you more? The Miami beating Broncos or Oregon? I mean, beating Colorado by their spreads. I mean, I guess we could go Miami, but I mean,
I'd go with Miami because there was more of like a historical stat category that they could have eclipsed or tied, and they chose not to out of kind of integrity of the games, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But 70 points in the NFL, though, I had never seen it before until Sunday.
66, I think, was the last time it happened.
1966 is when 72 points were scored. It was the most ever in a game.
Regular season, because then the Bears beat the Redskins in a title game, I think, in the 40s or 50s, 73-0.
Yeah, that is true. So that is true.
Close though to historical purposes, though.
Right, right. 10 touchdowns. That's kind of insane to think about. 10 touchdowns. There was a picture going around that Mike McDaniel was in the stands in the second half. I mean, it's not him; it's someone dressed like him, but he honestly could have been. Just remember that of those 20 points, 6 of those were scored on a kickoff return for a touchdown. So it wasn't even the Broncos offense that scored 20 points.
Special teams.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, let's talk fantasy for just a second. So I was busy when games started on Sunday, and I forgot to take out Aaron Jones, who didn't end up playing. So he got me 0 points. So I'm like, man, I'm going to lose this week. I go in to check my points, and I had the Bills defense. The Bills defense scored me 43 points this week in fantasy.
I think I had them in my other league, and they put up 34 or 36.
Yeah, they had 9 sacks, 4 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, a pick 6, a punt return for a touchdown. I mean, the list goes on.
And a part
the last 2.
Yeah. By the way, back to the Miami game for a second. So the backup in Mike White threw 2 passes in the game,
and they both were touchdowns.
Both for touchdowns. So he had more fantasy points this week as a backup that threw 2 passes than 8 quarterbacks who completed the game.
I'm sure Justin Fields is one of those.
Come on, Fields had 99 passing yards, Dave. Come on now.
I know.
Yeah, I almost look going into the week. I admitted it. I almost felt bad for Chicago fans because I knew the Chiefs were going to
He used to be
annihilate the
week one
Bears.
when Green Bay beat him in Chicago.
I know. Look at me. I'm getting soft in my old age. Feeling bad for Chicago fans, but mess around. I'm gonna kick this to you for a second, and I'm gonna ask you: are you convinced that Fields is not the answer in Chicago?
More and more, game by game, I'm getting there. I mean, I said on Facebook, I made a post that I was done with Fields and ready to move on. But I got to give the guy a chance. He doesn't really have a line. Granted, for most of the sacks he's taken, it's been his fault because he's afraid to throw the ball. Holds on to the ball way too long. I watched that game with my brother, who's a Chiefs fan. I was like, yeah, this game's going to be fun for you, but it's not going to be for me because I knew it was going to be bad. And it was terrible. The good thing is we play Broncos next week. Somebody's got to win, right?
It's going to be a 0-0 tie. What are you talking about?
On Monday Night Football, the Chicago Bears play the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football next week. I have to say that this might be the lowest rated Monday Night Football game of the entire season.
Yeah, I would like to see the ratings on that when it's
I don't know. They keep doing these double headers. I don't know at this rate.
Yeah,
I mean, but the thing is, as a football fan, a lot of us are going to tune in just to see what the first half's going to be like.
Right?
It's going to be that train wreck.
At this point, I'm almost pulling for Tyson Bagnet, the guy that was undrafted rookie free agent press. Just to see what he can do. He can't be worse than Fields.
I mean, you do have a point there. I mean, Fields. So, and this is the other thing. Everyone's like, give Fields a chance. Dude started 27 games now in the NFL, Dave. 27.
He's won 5 games.
And he's won 5. He's 5-22 as a starter.
And Matt Eberflus is like 3-17 in his career as the Bears head coach.
And he's lost 13 straight.
And they've lost 13 straight dating back to last season.
So, I mean, the whole point is like, give Fields a chance. Give him, how much more of a chance does he need? He started 27 games.
I think it'd give him more of a shot than they ever have Trubisky.
Honestly, I think you have to have Fields, have a longer leash than the coaching staff at this rate. I mean, I feel terrible for Ryan Poles, who brings in a new head coach, but I mean, there's not going to be a magic answer, I think, for Chicago. This, they were talking about the whole whirlwind of they had tractors and lawnmowers stolen from the stadium apparently earlier in the week, and then of course they go to KC and get absolutely walloped by Mahomes and the Chiefs, though, and then. I mean, you look at the record of Matt Eberflus and the fact that the team has lost 13 straight. It's like the longest losing streak in club history, dating back to the early days of the franchise. If you thought my hometown Padres were bad in 2023, the Chicago Bears giving them a run for money in 2023, and they've only played 3 games.
They're approaching Tampa Bay Buccaneer and Detroit Lions history, 17 losses in a row.
Yeah. So here's a question. Does Monday Night Football next week with the Broncos and the Bears, does the loser have the fast track to the first pick in the draft?
I really think so, honestly.
Carolina keeps losing. We got the top 2 picks if they both finish with the worst records.
Because of the DJ Moore trade.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there's that to look forward to, I guess.
If I'm Caleb Williams, I'm sitting out next year's draft. You really want to go play with right now a bad coach in Chicago with no offensive line and a very incompetent front office. Would you want to go to Carolina to take over for a first-year starter there, or go to Denver and replace Russell Wilson underneath the head coach who maybe the game's passed him by in Sean Payton? I think I'd sit this one out and wait for the following year.
I would too.
Let Minnesota lose them all and get the first pick, and let's see how we can screw it up.
Well, to be honest, I wouldn't want to go to Chicago because they have never proven to be able to develop a quarterback.
That's
Other than McMahon and Grossman, that's it. Honestly.
Yeah, that's it. Big B, I'm glad you brought up Minnesota because that was actually going to be my next point. So I saw Kirk. So I don't know what it is with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. He's like the lovable loser at this point.
Minnesota, nice.
he is projected, by the way, with his numbers, he's projected to throw for 6,015 yards this year.
Yep, and we're on pace to be over 17.
And 51 touchdowns. But they're 0-3.
Yep.
So it's going to be all for naught if he does break records this year. What's the problem in Minnesota, Big B?
Let's see. They got 11 starters on defense that can't play. They got, let me say, 7 offensive guys that can't play. They got a kicker that can't kick. They got special teams that can't return the football. They got a coaching staff that's all about the analytics of the game. They can't draft. They can't sign players.
Was worried about analytics either. There, I mean, both O'Connell and Staley live and die by the analytics, for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, I really thought this week was going to be different because Minnesota made the moves this past week in signing that big tackle, and then they went out and traded for Akers. I really thought that the team was going to show up this week, but I was just kind of curious on why the Chargers went for it on 4th and 1 late. On the last drive, got stuffed on their 30, and then Minnesota should have been able to get in the end zone and drop balls here. Went through the hands for the. Yeah, and it's just and everybody keeps told me, Minnesota's better than last year's team. They're going to be better. The defense is going to be stronger, and they're 0-3, and. Yeah, I don't see it get any better. I mean, the turnovers were a little bit, better, I guess. They wasn't so fluky and stuff. I mean, in my morning picks for morning tailgate, I picked Minnesota as my ballers this week because I wanted to see how they recouped from week 1 to week 2, and with these moves, I wanted to see them come out and show something. And they showed us that last year was a fluke, and they're going to be, 3-14 at best this year, the way it looks like.
Sorry,
and they had the ball and on the 1 yard line, it's like first and goal or whatever. I'm sitting there thinking, I bet they wish they had Dalvin Cook right now.
No.
He would have scored, handed off to him on the one, he would have got in.
And Kevin O'Connell's play calling at the very end of the game, like you're on the 1 yard line, like run it in. I don't care, what the numbers say.
Yep.
I mean, Cousins, your receivers literally have butterfingers today. Like run the ball in. Like
yep, old school football down inside the 5. I always say. I mean,
agreed.
Because frankly, the Chargers really should be 0-3. They really should be. I'm not saying that out of spite of the organization, but they really should be 0-3 because
I just don't understand why you don't punt on 4th and 1 on your side of the 30. I mean,
oh no, I absolutely agree as well. I
agree. All those were very good points. So I am gonna go to Chris because I want to get his thoughts on the Dallas game, and see kind of what he thinks happened against Arizona, as far as that goes. I see that Cincinnati won tonight. Maybe they're on the upswing again. The other game that kind of surprised me, before we get to the Dallas stuff, the other game that kind of surprised me is that Buffalo beat the Commanders so bad. Like Sam Howell, the first 2 weeks actually seemed like a competent quarterback, but he looked lost against the Bills' defense. So. That was kind of interesting. The other 2 things that happened this weekend that seem to always happen. There's those teams that you play against that you just know they have your number, right?
Yes.
Like you just can't beat them. It happened again with Jacksonville and Houston. So Jacksonville always loses to Houston, no matter how bad Houston is and how good Jacksonville is. It's kind of like Indy in Jacksonville. Indy hasn't won in Jacksonville since like 2012 or something. It's been an insane amount of years. It's like Chicago and Green Bay. Like Chicago just loses to Green Bay every time they play because they own them.
The Raiders for a
It's
long time couldn't beat the Chargers in San Diego.
right, right. I mean, it's one of those. It's like the entire NFC or AFC West against the Chiefs. Like they just can't beat the Chiefs. But it's kind of crazy. Houston is not a good team. CJ Stroud is probably the best of all the quarterbacks that came out. I'll say that. But
Agreed.
Jacksonville just can't beat Houston. I don't know what the deal is with that. But yeah, and then Indy beat Baltimore with being led by Garner Minshew.
In overtime,
Minshew.
nonetheless, because the Ravens couldn't get out of their own way in the overtime quarter.
I know. It's Minshew mania right now in Indy.
I was watching that game, and the announcers, like they always do, jinx the hell out of Tucker. Oh, Tucker's the goat kicking. He never misses. He's automatic. I was like, great. Now he's going to miss. And sure enough, he missed.
Plenty of distance, but man, it was like a yard or two short. So I don't know, like if he, like what happened. Like it was looking great until it got to the the end of the end zone and it didn't go through the uprights.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So, Chris,
Yeah.
what happened?
Well, you kind of went through the records, and I think they said after the game, the Cowboys are in their last 10 games in Arizona, they're 2-8, and then at one point you couldn't get a field goal because you wanted to attempt it on 4th down in the red zone. Defense wasn't good. Dak
Not
had
having
problems
Trayvon
too.
Diggs is obviously a huge ordeal with the Cowboys right now too.
Yeah,
Which-
in the middle of the week, and then you didn't have 3 offensive players.
Okay, and that's come up I've heard that from some other Cowboys fans, but let's hit on Trayvon Diggs for a minute. So it was said by one of the analysts, Trayvon Diggs might be good catching the ball, like getting interceptions, but he also gave up over 1,000 yards as the primary defender.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if I'm going to throw at him 130 times on the season and he catches 8 of them, I'm taking those chances because I'm probably going to hit a big one on him, more likely than he is to pick it off. So I just don't think Trayvon Diggs was as big of a loss for the team for an excuse to not win. I think the Cowboys just got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Mike McCarthy effect.
Hey, by the way, I don't mean to intrude, but one thing real quick from the schedule. Thankfully, that Chicago-Denver game is not on Monday Night Football. Seattle will play the Giants on Monday Night Football instead of Denver and Chicago.
Yeah, I was trying to look up if they can flex because they got that power
Broncos
now.
and Bears got moved to the 10 a.m. Pacific time slot on Sunday.
It's probably a good call by the NFL.
But yet
Well,
the
that was
KC and Jets game will
ESPN.
still be on SNF on NBC next Sunday. So
Sorry.
there you go. You get both New York teams on in prime time again next Sunday and Monday.
Yeah.
I don't know
Crazy.
if watching
Back
the
with the
Jets is any
Jets.
better than watching the Bears, though. Just saying.
I mean, maybe. Zach Wilson is awful.
He's just
Brutal.
about as good, maybe worse. I'm not sure. It's close.
The best thing about Zach Wilson is his mom.
Right? He's got that Stacy's mom effect.
I mean, Zach Wilson, who thought that was a good idea? Let's bring a kid in. I don't know. He wasn't even that great in college, and we're going to bring him in as the number 2 pick and put him as a starter on a New York team. Like that was an awesome.
I mean, then again, we had a former podcast host of ours declare that Zach Wilson was going to be like top 2, top 3, top 4 quarterbacks in the draft that year and stuff of that nature too. I know he was, but still, like out of BYU, like the last 2 notable BYU quarterbacks that actually had success was McMahon and Young.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's switch over to Major League Baseball. We got the last couple of series coming up here this week. It's the final week of the regular season in baseball. Chris, what's going on with the
Yeah.
Rangers? The Rangers are like,
We're on a hot streak.
yeah, after not being on a hot streak.
Yeah, we're hot.
Oh, now Isaiah's rooting for him.
Yes.
Why do you have to? Hey, that word's not allowed on this show.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
word you said that starts with an I, we're not even gonna say that word on this show.
Okay.
But Chris, they're on a hot streak. Do you think they're gonna win the West?
I don't think so. I want to say yes, but
Good job, Chris. I was leading you there to not make it the Bacon effect. Now that you said they won't win it, they probably will.
I hope they do for the sake of my old Padre skipper Bruce Bochy. But then again, Houston is still right there, and until the Astros kind of get knocked off the pedestal, it's hard to pick against Houston. But I want to see a race go down to the very end, though. I want to see one of these like wild card races or division titles come down to like next Sunday when the regular season comes to a close. I really do.
That'd be great.
Especially with
way.
there being no game 163 anymore. Like now they do it like via tiebreakers. Like you don't have that, the stress and anxiety of game 163 to determine who's going to go to the playoffs and miss out. Like, so I want to see one come down to the very end though, for sure. I really do.
That would be great. Big B, you say Minnesota teams suck, but the Twins clinched the AL Central.
Yep, we'll talk about them again in about 2 weeks when they get bounced in the first round.
Hey, the only good thing, Brandon, the Yankees aren't in the playoffs for once, so maybe this is your time.
Yeah, that is good. One good thing. I mean, we don't have to run into those Yankees, and typically the Twins teams have done good against better record teams. So maybe, but I'm not holding my hopes. I love baseball. I love my Twins, but I think a couple injuries right now are kind of bugging them. I think I just saw Lewis go on the 10-day DL here recently, so it's going to be tough.
Well, and then we can go down to mess around and ask about the White Sox, but I don't know that there's any point.
Well, I can just tell you this: I haven't watched the game since July, so yeah, there's really no point to watch them this year. They're terrible.
Yeah, they're not good. And then let's go over to Callan and let's get the San Diego report from the Padres. The Padres had won 7 in a row.
They did, and then they lost again in extra innings on Saturday to the Cardinals to go and tie their expansion partners from the 1969 Expos at 0-12 in extra innings. But mainly, if there's any reason to watch the Padres, and again, I know you guys have probably heard all the articles and all of the like reports coming out of the clubhouse recently. There's been a lot of talk of there being a very, unfixable relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller. Padre players have been kind of trying to backtrack quotes that they have said to the local newspaper, and it's a humongous dumpster fire in the Padre locker room and clubhouse right now. The only reason I would even tell anybody to watch the Padres is Blake Snell, who is probably going to be winning the National League Cy Young this year. He went another solid 6 innings of work tonight. No runs allowed again to lower his ERA, but the Padres did lose, though, 2-1 when the bullpen couldn't hold the lead after a first inning run, though. But that's been mainly, guys, the only reason why I've even watched the Pods recently. I mean, and I always like, good, bad, or indifferent. I love watching like the last week of the season, though it's like bittersweet, though, especially when, you're a fan of a team like the Padres who like never get to October except for like once every 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years, basically, it seems like. And you kind of like, cherish those last like week or two when you have games going on. But, it was more of a thing, though, when they went on that heater of like 8 or 9 in a row. It's like, guys, where was this in April or May when you were playing Kansas City and playing, all these, bad ball clubs? Like, where was that earlier this year, though? And, it was like if all the dominoes, fell into place about, well, they might get in still. Like, no. I mean, yeah, I've had friends who've like, don't give up me. I'm like, dude, I've given up on this season because I'm tired of hearing every other day that there's some new report coming out that this person said this. Bob Melvin and Preller aren't getting along. People want to fire the GM and fire the manager. It's like, I'm done with this season. I love baseball. It's been my love for almost 30 years, but man, this is a very hard Padre team to watch. Even though we have all these great players, now we're thought the Padres want to, chop like $100 million off the payroll next season. So that might mean no Snell, no Hader. Soto might get traded. Who knows about Machado and anyone else on this roster, because there's no chemistry. This is a captainless ship, as I've been hearing from two great, radio hosts here, John Schaefer and Jim Russell on KGB AM 760 in San Diego down here on the AM dial. And yeah, it was a great little run there. But again, it's like, guys, where was this back opening week against the Rockies and against the Royals and the Twins, for that matter, back in the early part of the season where you lose 2 out of 3 in St. Paul? I know the weather wasn't great, but you know what? You got to play through it. Where was this when you played, you played the Royals, you played the Nationals, you played, all the bad ball clubs. Yeah, you swept the Rockies when it didn't matter. Yeah, you swept the soon-to-be Las Vegas A's when it didn't matter. Yeah, you took 3 out of 4 from the Giants when it didn't matter. Where was this again, like back in April, May, June, July, and stuff like that? And again, it's just been more of a disappointment because you've just been hearing so much crap coming out of the Padre clubhouse with, quotes, that have been, put on public record. A lot of, players have been in a way bashing, teammates, but they've kept their name out of, they kind of kept their nose clean and didn't put their name on it and stuff like that. And I've always long said, if you have something to say, good or bad, about a teammate, put your name on it. Let her know who you are. Yeah, it may cause friction, but put it out there. Quit hiding behind, remaining anonymous and having us call the tip hotline to see who it was. So though it's like, okay, maybe promise for next season, I'm a little concerned though, because I don't know what direction the ball club goes. I don't know if you guys heard, but sadly, Peter Seidler, the Padres chairman and owner, fell ill earlier this month. He had to have a procedure to get himself back on track. He's also beat cancer twice. So we don't know, or he never said what it was, but he wasn't able to come to the final homestand of the season when the Padres were playing the Rockies and the Cardinals this past week. So again, you don't know the status or health of your owner. Sounds like Preller's going to come back for his 10th year on the job. Bob Melvin may or may not be back next year, whether he retires or he's fired. The fact that Preller can hire another manager again just seems to be, unheard of for a guy who's had one full winning season in 2022 and the Mickey Mouse 2020 season when they got in because they were the second best team in their division. So in 9 years, 1.5 playoff appearances, 1 NLCS run, ran out of gas though. So I don't know if it's a full-blown front office clean house. I don't know if it is a manager front office clean house. I don't know if it's just a roster retooling. Again, you're going to probably have the Cy Young Award winner not be back with you next season. You're going to lose one of the best closers in the game in Josh Hader. You may or may not trade Juan Soto, who you basically dealt 5 of your top prospects who are just right now crushing it right now with the Nationals, either on the major league roster or in the farm system right now. Yeah, you can blame the injuries, but again, the Padres have no more excuses. There's no more excuses to use that you basically put yourself in this much of a hole as the year went on, though. And yeah, that may have been a bright spot, though. But at the same time, I don't know what can be fixed. And really, I just want them to get the year over and see what kind of lies ahead, though. I mean, I still feel optimistic that I still feel like this group can do it if they actually, weren't all about their contracts and their egos and, what have you and things like that. And can this be fixed? Absolutely, this can be fixed, though, for next season. But it's more of you gave a fan base who sold out 61 of your 81 home games, nothing more than false hope this season after you basically all off season flapped your gums. You dismissed the Dodgers. You should not have done that, And then, just again, a lot of stuff that spiraled out of control. Off-season hype, players running their mouths about, the Dodgers, I can't hit here, put me here, things like that. Guys being late, just a lot of nonsense that sadly derailed what was a very, very, very promising season. But again, for a fan base, though, guys, and I know that Brandon talks about Minnesota, but for a city, though, guys, like San Diego, selling out all but 20 games on the home schedule this year, there's still a waiting list for season seats next year. Like, there is demand. Like, the fans have bought into this club for the first time in 25 years since the 98 ball club went to the World Series. But to kind of get like that return on your dollar back from the players, like, they didn't truly care about this season, but yet they're playing in front of sellout crowds every game. That's a very, very bad look on this roster, sadly. So it is what it is.
Yeah. That couldn't have said it any better. I think that's anyone who is that in tune with your team, selling out. You want to have the best product out there. You want to have.
They have a great product on the field, though. Just too bad they didn't do this.
Right.
They didn't mesh. There's no chemistry, no cohesion, no unity, whatever you want to use it, because you have, Soto saying, well, I can't hit second, hit me fifth, or hit me fourth. Bogart saying, hit me wherever you want. And again, guys more worried about money, more worried about their own stats. They didn't mesh until too little, too late, and the train was already off the rails and up in flames. So again, maybe it's a building block for next year, but I don't want to hear that excuse about next season. It should have been done this year, and there's no excuse. There's no excuse. And again, like I said, until these players wear it on the chest, like, we're the reasons why that we had a bad year. Stop blaming AJ. Stop blaming Bomel. We're going to take accountability. Until that happens, I'm out on this Padre team until they do that, and they're not going to, sadly.
Yeah. Another team we saw that with this year was the Mets. They went out and spent a ton of money. They ended up dumping their two biggest offseason acquisitions before the trading deadline.
Right.
And they're awful. Chris, the Bacon effect happened on your guarantee before the season that the Royals and the Nationals would play in the World Series. Sorry to say
prediction. I didn't get it.
The Royals might be the worst team in baseball.
That's the soon-to-be Las Vegas Athletics.
I know it's the soon-to-be Las Vegas Athletics, but the Royals might be worse. They're on about the same level.
Hey,
let's
they
say
took
that.
out from the Padres in May. Come on now.
That's true. Also, I want to say, though, Washington was not a horrible pick. I mean, they have played one game over 500 after the All-Star break. Washington has been good. And where did they get a lot of those players from? That's right. They got them from San Diego. So
what else is new?
They have played pretty well
here in my 29 going on 30 years living here, sadly, except for the goals and Sounders. That's about it.
Right. So that's our Major League Baseball update. It'd be a great last week. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we get as Callan said, hopefully we get a race to go down to the last game, because that's always exciting.
Got to be AO West.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one of the wild card races, though, too. I mean, the NL is still kind of up for grabs right now.
It is still up for grabs right now. I got to say, so two great things happened this week for me as far as baseball went. Atlanta secured their 100th win of the year, back-to-back seasons for the first time in 20 years. And the Yankees were eliminated from playoff contention. That was the second best thing that happened this week for sure.
Especially for Brandon and the Twins. The Yankees are not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. So I think Aaron Boone is out in New York. I think the team's given up on him. I don't think they're playing for him anymore.
Honestly, I think Boone and Cashman both have to be out, honestly. I think Cashman's been there way too long. And sadly, I kind of feel like the game's kind of passed him by with how a lot of these other GMs now are running operations, as opposed to how the Yankees have kind of been kind of stuck, not stuck in the mud, but they've been kind of stuck back with how the game was played back in the 90s, not like it is now. I mean, you really can't. I mean, the Dodgers have kind of become the Yankees of the 90s again, buying all the star talent, though. Still, yeah, you have Judge and Stanton, though, but it's almost like, when does Father Time hit a GM in baseball, for that matter, especially a franchise like the Yankees, who've had, so many years of excellence of winning, whether it's getting into the playoffs, world championships, or whatnot. But honestly, I kind of think that Boone and Cashman have to kind of be a package deal at this rate. I mean, I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I've kind of felt like if Boone goes, then Cashman has to go too.
Sure. No, makes total sense. The last thing I'll bring up about Major League Baseball is, let's all congratulate Kyle Schwarber. Yes, he's going to hit 40-something homers this year.
But he's going to have triple-digit strikeouts. Yay.
But he right now is hitting 196 on the season with 45 homers, and he has struck out 214 times.
Sounds like Mark Reynolds with the D-backs when he was a rookie back in 07.
More than Tony Gwynn in his whole career, I think.
Yeah, by far and in a way. I wouldn't even put Carew in that category, Big B.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he could, by the way, be the first player in Major League history
to lead the league in homers and lead the league in strikeouts.
To have more strikeouts than have a strikeout rate, more strikeouts than his batting average.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So,
and here Blake Snell may win a Cy Young and probably leading the National League in walks, nonetheless, too.
Right. That's true. Lots of crazy stuff happening this year.
Baseball is a weird sport, my friends.
Baseball is a very weird sport. It is. It's one of the people are like, why do you like baseball so much? And I'm like, I like baseball because of a few reasons. One,
the sheer randomness. You never know what's going to happen.
Right. And there's no time clock. Like, time runs out in baseball when the last out is recorded.
But there isn't. There is, but there isn't.
Right. There's no game clock. Like the game, that clock doesn't sound at the end of the game.
It's not like 15 minutes per inning, and
right. But it's the last out. It's not out. It's not over till it's over in baseball.
That lady sings, as they always used to say.
That's right. The other reason I like baseball is, you're right. It's a game of imperfections. That's what baseball is. If you succeed 3 out of 10 times at the plate, you're considered an all-star player. 3 out of 10. That means you fail 7 times.
Yep.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's just crazy to me, by the way.
Love to see it, though. You love to see it.
Love to see it. Let's see. We got a few minutes left here. Dave got to play his favorite game that we've played on the show, which was
fall asleep.
No, it wasn't fall asleep. I'm actually going to give Big B a couple of minutes because he had kind of something exciting happen to him today. We're going to let him talk about that. And then I'm going to throw a couple of situations at you as to what you would do. So we'll call it the men's advice column.
Ooh.
Of the night. We'll do that the last 5 minutes, but I'm going to give Big B a couple of minutes here to talk about what his excitement from today. So the floor is yours.
All right. So today, I work at a casino. We have a partnership with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and today we did some food packaging for. I'm trying to remember the group. It's a Matters group that helps kids eat healthy and stuff. So
like a free and reduced lunch sort of program.
Yeah, but it was just like a little snack pack kind of thing.
Okay.
So got to rub elbows with a couple NBA alum. I'm not going to call them superstars because each one of them had a glimpse, but got to rub shoulders with Troy Hudson and Ricky Davis today, so that was kind of cool. Got to pick their brains a little bit on what they've been doing and what their thoughts on the NBA was, and not to quote them too much. Is one of them liked the in-play tournament, can't wait for it. The other one just thought it was a joke, and then they both agree, just like us here, that kind of follow the NBA here and there, that these superstars that are building these little mini super teams is hurting the NBA with how they're building things. They're hurting the smaller markets, and it's just a battle.
Yep.
And so it was good to talk to them, and they talked about the new rule changes and how practices are being held, and just can't don't practice after back-to-back day. They have to monitor, especially the new load management rule.
Right.
And they both laughed at it when I brought it up, and they're just like, "There's no way this would have been a thing back in the '90s." You asked me to take a day off. Nope, I'm playing. I don't care how hurt I am, how tired am I. I'm playing the game.
Unless I'm in the hospital, I'm playing.
Exactly. So it was cool to just pick their brain a little bit and get them to and I was kind of shocked that I kind of figured they would kind of shy away from talk about the NBA today, but no, they're upfront about it. And just they enjoy the game still, but they just figured that the NBA is just not the NBA that they played in, which I think we all can agree on.
Right.
No, thanks for that, Big B, and I'm glad that you got to experience that. It's not every day you get to meet former athletes or current athletes. So thanks for that. That was great. So yeah, we're gonna do some situations, some advice columns. Let's call this the advice corner. How about that? The advice corner for men.
There you go.
Let's see what's a situation you would get. So mess around. Let me ask you, what would your advice be to a younger guy just starting in a relationship?
Chris.
If he is asked the question, if we weren't together, is there anyone in particular you would want to be with?
Your sister.
This is do not answer that question, because no matter how you answer it, you're gonna be sleeping on the couch or worse. Say there's nobody else. Say the honest answer you would say to them: there's nobody else in the world I'd rather be with than you. Even if you're lying, say that. Don't say anything else.
Okay.
Tim's got a good answer. Chris, you got to pull it up.
Sorry, I can't see Tim's answer.
No, Tim will pull it up. Your mom.
I don't know.
Okay. So here's another one. This one will go to Big B. What do you think is the proper answer? So let me throw this situation at you. A guy proposes to a woman. She says yes. They break up. They break up. He moves on. He meets someone else. Wants to propose to someone else, but wants to get the ring back from girl A to propose to girl B.
It's a gift to the woman, and I guess whatever she wants to do with it does with it. I mean, if she gives it back, fine. But I think if girl B finds out that was girl A's ring, you're not going to see girl B, and you're not going to see that ring, because that thing's going to get chucked as far as that woman can throw it. So your best bet is just go out and
buy a new one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you get the money back, you go pawn it. Okay, use the money to pay for a new one, but don't reuse the ring.
No, okay. You're exactly right. I was gonna say, but you alluded to, if she finds out, you're fucked.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chris, this one's for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Give me your best pickup line?
Do you like it hard or floppy?
I don't know. I don't know if I
Oh,
really
yeah.
have one. I don't know.
See, but okay. All right. Let's take a second to come up with what should be Chris's pickup line. And I think he should go off of something like we always talk about. I think he should be like, "Oh, my name's Chris. All my friends call me Crispy Bacon because I am savory like America's favorite savory treat."
There you go.
Or go old school and ask a girl for her phone number because you lost yours.
I was gonna say that too. Can I have your number? I lost mine.
You know, one of the only ones that's ever worked for me is you walk up and you ask them, "How much does a polar bear weigh?"
Okay.
Right. How much does a polar bear weigh?
I don't know.
Right. I don't know either, but it's enough to break the ice.
That's a good one. I like it. I like it.
They would at least think that was clever in
Yeah.
some way. All right, let's go. We got 4 minutes left. Let's go with a couple of jokes here. I got a couple of good jokes. Let's I can't tell one like last week because I don't want to get kicked off the air. And I think that one was controversial enough that it probably could have happened.
Oh, that was
For
Oh,
bad.
sure.
you'll have to tell me the joke off air then.
I will tell you the joke off air, but I can't do it on the air again. I would kind of worry about that. What do you call it when Batman skips church?
A dark day. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one, Chris. I don't know. I would say dark something too, but
I don't know. What is it?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Cute.
good one.
Oh, there's more. Okay, so your old lady is upset, and you're sitting in the kitchen. You're standing in the kitchen with her, and you could tell that she's upset. And you say, "Baby, what's wrong?" And she says, "My friend Pam died." And you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do to help?" She says, "Tell me a joke to cheer me up." So, Chris, the joke I would tell is knock knock.
Who's there?
Not
Pam. Yeah, they probably don't find that as funny as we do, but I think that's hilarious myself.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. I can run through a couple of more. We got a couple of more minutes here.
No, damn, that's great.
Hey,
Yeah, but
Chris, Tim's got a great pickup line for you. You got to pull
What
it
is
up.
Yeah.
what is it?
J-Mac, or he'll pull it up here shortly.
Yeah, I'm getting it up right now.
I mean, there's
Do you
definitely
like-
a ton of pickle.
If
Do you like your bacon crispy? Oh, I like that one. I like that one.
Is that Windex on your pants? No, why? Because I can see myself in them.
Right? Right. Definitely some good ones in there, Chris. One that was kind of popular when I was younger was I'm no Fred Flintstone, but I could make your bed rock.
Yeah.
Oh, another good one. You look at your arm, you make sure you have a watch on, and you look at your watch and you're like, huh, this watch says you're not wearing any panties. And when she's like, yes, I am, you're like, oh, must be a half an hour fast.
Ah.
Oh.
I've never heard that before. That's awesome.
That is a good one.
That is good.
Yeah, that's good. All right, let's get final thoughts. Start us out, Bacon.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. Great show, and stay tuned to Coast for our great shows.
All right, mess around.
Hey, it's almost time to go to bed. No surprise there.
Okay, Callan.
No, good. Another great program. Glad to talk a little bit of some football, a little bit of some baseball. Again, I just want one of these races to come down to the very end. AOS, the NL wild card, something. One of these races, like I want a little bit of some some pre-postseason drama. Basically, is all I'm asking for. But no, great program, and just as a reminder, I'll be taking this Thursday and the following Thursday off from doing press row. But again, obviously, big event on Friday. Got some more coming up the following week after that. And then, we'll be back doing things again in about a week or two for Press Row again on, I believe, October 11th will be our next get-together for Press Row, or maybe the 12th, one of the two.
All right, so October 11th or 12th. I'm going to guess that Tim had some kind of comment to say with their boy
Yeah.
Brandon's laughing like a hyena on the
Chris,
program.
you got to
So
pull it up.
why
Another
don't you
good
pull up
boy.
what Tim said? Your right leg is
Hey.
Thanksgiving and your left is Christmas. Can I spend time between the holidays? I've actually heard that one, and I actually like
I
that.
have too.
Yeah. So with that, Big B, why don't you give us your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. It's great to be on again, and hopefully I become a regular again. Just get used to the new times for work. Check myself and Tim on C2C Rankum this Wednesday. We're going to do our favorite category, birthdays, and honor those who have passed away the month of September. I'll give a little preview that September 20th we're going to do for birthdays because a certain Bacon was born on that day. So we're still going to do that one and find out who Chris was born on. And then if you guys don't know either, C2C Rankum's coming up on a year. So
Wow, already?
Yep.
Dang.
Yeah, I know. Starting November, me and Tim's got a secret segment we're going to bring out to us in the first week of November. So keep tuning into Rankum.
Sounds great, man. And I want to remind everyone, this is now season 3 of the Four Bros Radio Show. And so we're going to have some great stuff this year. We're definitely going to bring back the game from last week that we had was name the leader. We went through bands and you had to name the lead singer. Messeron was actually good at that. I think he could have ran the table with all the ones that we had. He's a music buff like I am.
Yeah, I'm just lucky that Callan wasn't playing with us because he would have killed me.
I don't know about that.
But we'll do a variation of that game. We'll do some other games. We are going to bring back this year. Here's a preview for you guys. Here in a couple of weeks, we are going to bring back 2 things that were big hits last year. One is 2 Truths and a Lie.
Or mess around 3 lies or 3 truths,
Yeah,
whatever you
Exactly. So
that's
prepare yourself for that one. And then we are going to bring back Rapid Fire because that was so popular last year also, last season. So we're going to bring back Rapid Fire. Watch for that. In the meantime,
Chris's game was 2 truths and a lie because he was really good at that.
Chris was really good at that. I got to say that was Chris's game. So we'll bring that back. But for now, we're going to bid you adieu. We're going to thank you for watching, listening, however you catch us here. Couldn't do it without you. Lifelong dreams being lived in front of your very eyes. For Big B, for Callan, for Mess Around, for Crispy Bacon. This is J Mac. We'll see you all on the other side.